Alright, thank you very much Fazlan. Okay, sebelum kita bermula, kita buka forum kita dengan Al-Fatihah. Alright, selamat datang ke siri ke-6 slot TEPEN Secangkir Kopi bersama Wall of Fame MRSM Typing 2021. Jadi malam ini program kita berfokuskan kepada perkongsian isu-isu semasa yang sesuai dengan kepakaran alumni Merismart. Topik kita pada malam ini adalah Bumiputera dan Ekonomi. Jadi sebelum kita kita sangat bersyukur dan memberi sekalung penghargaan buat rakan strategik ANSARA Typing, iaitu semestinya alma mater kita, MRSM Typing, 10F Energy Sendirian Berhad, Amans Media, Outpost Typing Sendirian Berhad, ALKA Systems, and semestinya BG Capital Holdings Group of Companies. Jadi kepada anda yang menonton sama ada menerusi FB Live ataupun Zoom TEPEN, jangan lupa untuk tuliskan apa-apa persoalan yang ingin ditujukan kepada ahli panel kita di ruangan chat ataupun komen. Pada akhir sesi ini, jika berkesempatan, kita akan adakan sesi soal dan jawab. Jadi pesanan penaja juga kepada alumni MRSM Typing yang masih belum mendaftar sebagai ANSARA TEPEN, bolehlah mendaftar dengan keahlian seumur hidup sebanyak RM50 sahaja menerusi portal rasmi ANSARA Malaysia iaitu www.myansara.org. Dan semestinya pada moderator pada malam ini ialah saya iaitu Iman dari batch SPM 2016 and of course Fazlan dari batch SPM 2012. Kita tidak dapat adakan perkongsian malam ini tanpa tetamu-tetamu kehormat kita iaitu Dato Badlisyah Abdul Ghani dari batch SPM 1990 who is a pioneer of Islamic finance, which is a continuously growing sector with a lot of opportunities for growth not only in Malaysia but worldwide, and co-founded ProMuda, iaitu Dewan Profesional Muda Malaysia, which has produced many of the current Malay corporate leaders. Now, he is a very relevant figure for us tonight with the topic. And of course, he is currently the President, Chartered Institute of Islamic Finance Professional, ataupun CIIF, and also the Executive Chairman of Yasaar Capital Ventures. Jadi, apa khabar, Dato?
Khabar baik, Alhamdulillah.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Okay, jadi tetamu ataupun speaker kita yang seterusnya juga hebat, sangat-sangat hebat iaitu Saliza Abdullah dari batch SPM 1995. Or our Iron Lady, which has a known security services company in Malaysia, which has diversified into technologies, risk management, training, and also consultancy. Jadi sekarang ni, Kak Saliza ialah Managing Director and also CEO of BG Capital Holdings Group of Companies, which is also one of our strategic partners. Apa khabar Kak Saliza?
Khabar baik, Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for being our guest speaker, definitely. And we look forward to having you share your vast experience with us. Jadi, semestinya kita tiada dapat perkongsian ini yang sempurna tanpa also participants yang akan menyertai kita dengan bertanyakan soalan. Jadi, apa-apa soalan, jangan lupa untuk tanyakan di chat box ataupun ruangan komen. Alright, so in the previous session of Secangkir Kopi, which you can watch via our YouTube channel at ANSARA TEPEN, we have already covered the impact of COVID-19 to the Malaysian economy as a whole. So today's session, we would like to focus the discussion specifically on the economic well-being of Bumiputera in Malaysia. Now, based on the 2018 census conducted by DOSM on SMEs in Malaysia, approximately 36% of SMEs belong to Bumiputera, in which 91% are micro enterprises. So this question goes to Dato. So from the statistics, we can see that Bumiputera businesses make up less than half of total SMEs. So I would like Dato to comment on the current outlook of Bumiputera businesses in Malaysia, especially given the high percentage of Bumiputera businesses in micro SMEs. What exactly are the identified barriers of entries that prevent more Bumiputera from starting and growing a business? The floor is...
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. I think at the end of the day, we have to always go back to basic when it comes to Bumiputera participation in business or participation in the economy. It's not about simply establishing a business. It's about participating in the value chain, right? Participating in the global supply chain. So a lot of Bumiputera entrepreneurs, when they go into the market, they see, oh, they want to do a food business, or they want to do a security business, or they want to do a retail shop, right, business. So they have this blinkered perspective of the things that they want to do. It's good to be focused, but because of that, sometimes many do not look at the full supply chain to be able to identify where they need to be, whether they have support on the downstream, whether they have support in the upstream that completes their business, right? Sometimes people just see the supplier, their supplier. Oh, okay, they have good supplier, but they only see one. They don't look at 2 or 3 suppliers for the same thing, and therefore, if one supplier stops them from doing business or stop supplying, then they get stuck, right? And they don't get the best price for the goods, right? So that's one of the problem that many Bumiputera businesses have faced. And the other thing is there is no ecosystem within the Bumiputera community that supports Bumiputera businesses, right? So if you look at the economy, right? So you have the small enterprises, you have the SMEs, and then in Malaysia, right? And then also you have the large corporates, right? There is one missing piece or missing link within that description, right? By right, there should be 4 levels. Right? There should be small enterprises, and then the medium enterprises, right? Sorry, there should be 5. There's micro enterprises, small enterprises, medium enterprises, and then what we call in the German term is Mittelstand, MITTELSTAN, right? These are the a size of companies that are just below the large corporates. All right, so you have the large corporate that is multi-billion-dollar businesses, multinationals, and the likes. The Mittelstand is a billion-dollar business. All right, so and it is entrepreneur-led, right? And these are the missing piece that supports SMEs and micro, right? So if you look at the tier, the large corporate will give businesses to the Mittelstand. The Mittelstand will give business to the SME and the micro, right? Because we do not have this Mittelstand category of companies that are entrepreneur-led. Entrepreneur development in this country is, especially for Bumiputera, is very weak, right? So that's one of the biggest issue that we have in our economy today. We do not have a strong Mittelstand. The other communities have within their community that Mittelstand. right? And they can easily support any of their SMEs. So you can have 2 million SMEs in the country, and all these SMEs are being supported by the meter stand, right? But our SMEs and micro enterprises are not supported. To rely on the GLCs, who are the large corporate, they want to deal with companies that can serve them, right? And the one that can serve them are the meter stand, right? If they give business to the SMEs, there are too many of them, right? So the large corporate has no time to look at all the small ones, right? And doesn't fulfill their requirement. So if you look at a country like Germany or other European countries, they have about 3,000 meter stand. All right, we don't even have more than 200 in the whole country. Right? We don't have enough of the meter stand. That's the problem with Bumiputera businesses today. We cannot rely on GLCs or government projects.
Sorry, Dato, if I could chip in, if I could follow up on this, right? So I would like to ask, what's preventing Malaysia from creating more meter stand in Malaysia itself? What preventing these medium-sized SMEs to become a meter stand before becoming a large corporate? Yeah. Okay.
One is there is a tendency of the large corporate to kill it, right? Because the meter stand will eventually, some of them will overtake some of the large corporate and become the new large corporate, right? So before they can get there, naturally, in defense of their territory, the large corporate will definitely want to swallow, all right? Or they will go into a price war to kill it.
Okay.
Right? So we do not have an effective framework in the country that cultivate the growth of meter stand, right? And their survival, right? And of course, the third way that the meter stand gets thrown out of the market is, of course, when there is a challenger, and the challenger has good businesses, good product, and things like that. Of course, the large corporate will throw money and say, "Hey, sell me your business, lah." Right? And of course, the entrepreneur who has worked very hard to build this business and things like that, oh, okay, dapat a few billion ringgit and things like that. Okay lah, I can retire, I can do other things, that kind of stuff, right? So, but it's good for the individual, it's good for that particular business, but it's bad for the economy.
Okay, I understand. Can I follow up again? So does this have anything to do with the fact that we have GLCs in Malaysia that's kind of like government backed? So we have the national importance to protect this GLCs. So because of this culture itself, we cannot grow meter stand. Is there a correlation in it?
When I refer to large corporate or organization, I'm not pinpointing to GLC. I would include every large corporate, whether they are private companies, whether they are family-owned companies, whether they are MNCs and GLCs. They are all large corporate, right? And there are more PLCs, MNCs than GLCs.
True.
All right. So at the end of the day, GLCs is not really the biggest problem. They are not really the problem, right? They may, some GLCs may behave like the PLCs and whatever not, but not all GLCs are like that, right? So to me, there's too much talk about GLCs and not much about the PLCs and the family offices and all the other private companies. They are the sharks, right? True. Because they are there to do business, right? And they want to make lots of money. But because of too much attention to JLC, we missed the boat. We see the forest but not the tree, or we see the tree and not the forest lah, whichever the case.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think that clears things out lah, because I think there's a big, like you said, we put so much importance on JLC in Malaysia, and yeah, we didn't look at the family-led corporates and whatnot. Okay, right, that clears things up. Thank you so much. I think Iman, you can continue.
All right, thank you very much, Dato, and also Fazlan, for asking a very interesting question indeed. I think this is my first time even hearing the term Mittelstand. So I hope a lot of the viewers are also able to learn something new, and hopefully we can learn how to actually help cultivate this different, outlook on trying to grow the existence of these Mittelstands to support these SMEs. All right, so just to summarize, just to get back everyone on track. So first of all, Dato talked about how it's important for SMEs to also participate in the value chain, not only looking at what they want in silos, but also recognizing that there are other forces within outside of their company, or you can actually refer to the Porter's five forces. It's very interesting. Okay, and then all right, so next question will be given to Kak Saliza. I hope you like this question. So as a business owner yourself, how has COVID-19 and prolonged lockdowns impacted your business? And what are the initiatives that you and other business owners have to come up with in order to survive this pandemic?
Thank you, Iman, for that question. Before I respond and give my input to those questions, I just want to relate to some of the things that Dato Badlisyah has mentioned earlier with regards to the importance and the different level of businesses which are available in Malaysia. And I think it is very important, whether we are Bumiputera or whether we are non-Bumiputera, it's important for the country's economy to produce more and more quality and sustainable and competitive medium, larger corporations, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to remain competitive, not only in Malaysia, but also internationally. Because if we look at the GDP of the country, I think as at 2018, I don't have like the latest statistics after COVID, but we are looking at more than 40% of the country's GDP are being contributed by the SMEs. And out of that 39%, more than 50% are actually family-owned businesses. So I would like to highlight that BG Capital Holdings is a family business, which is going to celebrate our 30th anniversary this coming January. And we have successfully carried out several transition when it comes to generations. I'm actually a second generation entrepreneur, but how I was able to transform, diversify and expand the business from a single entity business doing purely physical guarding services into a group of companies that is also doing risk management, training and consultancy. We have also pivoted into AI surveillance in collaboration with some of the startups and one GLC in Malaysia. So we are here to stay. So I think it's all a matter of having the right mindset when you start your business. Where do you see yourself in 30 or 50 years down the line? Do you just want to make a business or set up a business because everyone else is doing it? Hence, you also want to do maybe a F&B business or something. But you have to remember that at the end of the day, in order for a business to be successful, you need to first have the long-term vision and long-term goals for the company, because you need to know what is your destination, and only that you will be able to incorporate all your business strategies, and everything that is required for you to remain sustainable. So as a business which has been around for 30 years, and we also have a third generation family members in our company as we speak, obviously we have experienced a number of crises in the past, but obviously COVID is something that is very different. This is the first ever health pandemic that not only is impacting the businesses in Malaysia, but as well as businesses in basically all parts of the world. So obviously in Malaysia, but if you look at the context of Malaysia, I think what we can conclude from what we have seen within the last 1 year or 1 year and a half is that some businesses do get badly affected due to COVID. Some even have to shut down their businesses, have to file for bankruptcy, because they cannot open or continue running their businesses because of the MCO and the lockdown. So it's pretty bad for those kind of businesses because they would not be able to survive this pandemic, unless they do something about it very quickly. We have to be very agile and must be able to think of a solutions quickly in order for those companies to survive. But on the other hand, there are also businesses in Malaysia, being it SME, large corporations, or basically SME and large, they are doing very well because of this pandemic. For example, you can look at some of the manufacturers, who are producing PPEs, who are into logistic, for example, because there are a higher demand in terms of PPE, sanitizers and all that. And also there is a boost in terms of people buying online. So these are some of the sectors who are benefiting. And I think not only double, but triple or even more of their profit because of the pandemic. So there are these two categories of businesses in Malaysia right now and how they are being impacted by COVID. But just to give an example and illustration on how basically BG Capital Holdings have been able to survive this pandemic, I think one of the key or important factor is that we have actually diversified and expanded our business. So meaning to say we don't rely to only one business. For example, the security business that we started with 30 years ago. Over the years, we have expanded. So just to share with you, security services is an essential services. So fortunately for us, during this pandemic, it's technically business as usual. Because no matter whether the shopping complexes have to shut down their operation, but they still need security personnel and manpower. So business is well in those essential services sector. But how the COVID situation has impacted us is in terms of the ability of our clients to pay us on time. Okay, because some of our clients or most of our clients, for example, those in the manufacturing industries, they belong under the non-essential. So because of that, when they are unable to pay us on time, we have some cash flow problem in terms of running the business. However, the government, I must give credit that they have been able to assist a lot of SMEs during the pandemic. We have benefited from the special relief fund, special relief facility during COVID. We have benefited from the program subsidy upah, as well as the moratorium given by the pandemic, given by the banks and the government. So all those kind of assistance and support by the government have helped us tremendously in terms of maintaining a good cash flow and enable us to continue to operate as usual during this pandemic. And just to give you some other examples on some of the activities under our company, because we also have a training company, and coincidentally, a few months before COVID, we have been appointed by Perkeso as one of the training provider. So with only 2 courses that we have listed under Perkeso, because of COVID, we have now total of 66 courses under our company. So technically, we kind of have like a mini academy on our own. And for that particular business, although we are unable to do any physical training, but we are able to do virtual training, and that has definitely been very, very profitable and fruitful for our business. And if you're talking about the other sister company that we have, which is called BG Monitrack, that is a company that is related to technology. So we talked about STEM yesterday. So that is how I'm able to kind of like utilize my electrical engineering degree in the family business, whereby we do have a subsidiary company that focuses in terms of security technology. So this is the company. As we speak, we are working with a group of startups, and we have the backing of one GLC, which I shall not name during this session, to actually look into AI surveillance. Yeah, so we are looking at how we are able to incorporate, MKN, in terms of the detection, compliance, and how we are able to provide that or those new solutions as a value added to our existing customers. We have also worked in partnership with some of our other companies within our network to introduce a security on demand, which means that we have been able to pivot or transform the traditional security services into an on-demand services, because during lockdown, people were not able to cross the era, go back to their hometown. But because we belong under the essential services, we are able to basically move around the country freely. So those are some of the additional services that we have been able to provide during the COVID. And one of the other things that I would like to highlight, the importance of SMEs and entrepreneurs to remain sustainable, or how we need to overcome the current situation that we are in. It is very important that we look at all the resources, all the networks that we have. That's why it's important to build relationship, because relationship is not something that you get to build overnight. So for us, we're lucky. We have been around for quite some time. We really value business relationship with our employees, with our stakeholders, with our suppliers. So when what happened during COVID, for example, we do have another business that is basically a chain of event community space. We have one in Subang, we have one in Kedah, and during COVID, we bought actually one property in Johor. So that soon will be converted into our new event community space. But obviously, because of COVID, no one is able to book or organize programs at those centers. But what we have done is that through our social enterprise arm, BGCH for the community, we have actually collaborated, for example, with more than 57 companies, including big corporations like Sunway, to organize a career fair for the community in Subang Jaya. So we actually use that center as the so-called broadcast center to actually conduct a 3 days online career fair. And this initiative that was done back in December was supported by the Majlis Bandaraya Subang Jaya, as well as the State Assembly Women of Subang Jaya. So meaning what we're trying to say is that whatever resources that we have, we use them to the best of our abilities so that it will be able to assist and help those who are badly affected due to COVID. And just to summarize on some of the initiatives that we have done, I'm very proud to share with everyone, despite the fact that we are a Bumiputera company and we are a medium-sized enterprise in Malaysia. In 2020, because of the continuous community and the industry engagement that we have done in the security, and how we are able to change the concept of security to something to provide better care and better support to the members of the community in terms of providing them with skills and all that. In December 2020, we became the first Malaysian SME to receive the United Nations Women Asia Pacific Women Empowerment Principles Award. So to me, that is an accomplishment because we are not only able to showcase to the world that the work that we have done for the past 29 years, but we are also to be able to position and to prove to people that even in a medium-sized company, if you have the right business values, strategies, you do your business with integrity, that you will be able to remain sustainable and be competitive at the international arena.
All right. Thank you, Kak Saliza. Very, very detailed and also broad. So I just want to bring back the audience, to summarize. And so what I was able to get was to think up of solutions very quickly, especially because challenges, they come. And obviously, if you're not to take up the challenges quickly, you would fall behind, and that would lead to difficulties and problems in cash flow. So why cash flow is so important is because without cash available, we can't even operate day-to-day operations. All right. And what I realized that you did say was about digitizing to overcome these physical borders, and also to be agile and diversify into product or service offerings, especially into sectors that are doing well during COVID, like what you did, for example, with your I think it was like event planning.
Oh yeah, it's a community event space.
Yeah. Sorry, and you changed it into broadcasting, right? Yeah. So that's very interesting, and it's such a great method as well, to fit what you have, the expertise and the assets that you do have, to better fit within the available opportunities that is, even with the current challenges, right? And I think that's something that very much can be applied by a lot of businesses that are struggling. And of course, being the managing director and also the CEO of BG, you definitely were great at representing the company. All right, so without further ado, I thank both of the speakers very much for covering the first pusingan. Now, we will enter the second pusingan, and I will pass the session to Fazlan.
Thank you, Iman. I thought you were going to conclude the session tonight. Okay. All right, thank you, Iman, for the great first round. So I think we have already covered the current outlook of Bumiputera in Malaysia. And in our second round, we want to talk about the initiatives that have been introduced by government and many other agencies in Malaysia to help encourage Bumiputera to start a business. So I think I have listed here a few of the current initiative done by the government as well as other government agencies. For example, in budget 2021 announcement, there is an allocation of RM 4.6 billion to assist Bumiputera entrepreneurs via SME financing from Tekun Nasional, PUNB, and SJPP, and as well as capacity enhancing programs by banks, SME banks, and Bank Pembangunan Malaysia Berhad. And as you all know, we have this company called SME Corporation. And they introduce various programs to help SMEs, especially as Bumiputera SMEs, such as Bumiputera Enterprise Enhancement Program. This is a very integrated program, a very hand-holding program to help these Bumiputera SMEs to start a business. They also introduced Tunas Usahawan Belia Bumiputera ataupun TUB. This is to encourage more youth, more tunas lah, to venture into SMEs. And as well as Galakkan Export Bumiputera or GEB. This is to help as an incentive for SMEs to do more export to introduce more export lah, basically, and also to create a network and supply chain among Bumiputera SMEs. So based on this initiative that had been introduced, right, I would like to pass the question to Dato Badlisyah. Do you think that this initiative that had been introduced help to encourage Bumiputera to venture in SMEs? Do they achieve their objective in helping SMEs to survive lah in Malaysia? And what are the improvements that can be done to ensure that proper training and guidance are provided, especially to those that are interested to join to start a business?
Well, thank you. The short answer, the initiative are not effective and doesn't work. All right, that's the short answer. And the reason why I say it is ineffective and doesn't really work, it has contributed to the development of some SMEs, Bumiputera SMEs, over the many years, but we still have less than half of Malaysian SMEs being Bumiputera SMEs, right? So it doesn't really denote a great success because Bumiputera is literally 60 or 70% of population, right? So when it does not reflect the demography of the country, therefore the initiative is definitely not as effective as we think it was, or works as well, right? Most of the programs that what
Dato, I think we are losing you. Can you?
Yes, I think he's stuck. I can't see him moving.
Develop entrepreneurs.
Sorry, Dato, I think we are losing you in the past 1 minute or so. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's okay. Can you repeat back the past 1 minute?
Let me repeat myself. As I mentioned, the programs that you see in the market today by the government and many other organizations are horizontal programs, right? And what is actually needed are vertical programs. Horizontal programs essentially is you are targeting, okay, let's build entrepreneurs, let's develop them, let's have a large number of entrepreneurs. That is horizontal program, and this does not work in any country. Right? What is required is a vertical program, right? You need to develop industry in order to be able to give the entrepreneurs the full platform to do business. So I give you a simple example. You support an entrepreneur to do a chicken farm or chicken processing plant, right? So you pump a few million inside that particular business, because you do not, the Bumiputera does not have effective influence and control of the value chain of that industry. All of us.
Dato, I think we are losing you again.
Maybe we can try off the camera to reduce the bandwidth usage.
Yep. Once Dato is back, we can advise. Hold on, yeah. In the meantime, if anyone has any question, feel free to drop them off in the group chat. We will address the Q&A. We will address all the questions in the Q&A session right after all the pusingan lah. Dato is not. We have lost him. It's fine. I think we can continue with Kak Saliza first. Thank you, Kak, for taking over. So I think I've covered all the initiatives that have been introduced, right? And so because you mentioned earlier that you also provide trainings under PKSO, I think the two initiatives under PKSO. So in your opinion, what are the initiatives that can be done to help aspiring Bumiputeras to develop the critical skills in running the SME for them in order to survive lah? Because as you said tadi, they need to integrate, they need to diversify their portfolio instead of just focusing on one, right? So what are the other initiatives that can be done to help with that? And then what are the necessary critical skills needed in a leader who wants to start a business?
Okay, my response to that question might be a bit controversial. Because Dato is back, so I'm not sure whether you want to ask Dato to respond to that question. Dato, you would like to continue what you were saying earlier, Dato? I am afraid because your line got disconnected.
I'm sorry. Somehow or other, my Wi-Fi just hits me tonight.
Yeah, Dato, if it helps, you can switch off your camera lah.
Okay, I will do that for now.
Okay,
right.
And
so as I was saying,
continue.
Okay, I was giving the example of the chicken processing plant, right? So all of a sudden, the moment the entrepreneur gets that money, the supplier of chicken stop supplying. All right. So from the ability, this is a company that can process 100 million chicken in a month. to all of a sudden can only process 10 million chicken, and then from 10 million chicken it goes down to a few thousand, and that's it. The company shuts down, and this is a real life case. And then you have you also finance a chicken farm, a Bumiputera chicken farmer, right? The chicken processing company were told by large chicken companies not to take supply from this chicken farm. If you take supply, then I will cut off your chicken feed, right? So again, when you do not control the industry, you are not able to develop your entrepreneur, right? So you need to have an industry development program, a Bumiputera industry development program, and encompass within that Bumiputera industry development program is entrepreneur development, right? It's a subset. It is a subset to Bumiputera industry development program, right? So when you do an industry development, it's designed and customized by sector, right? Based on what is effectively necessary to onboard Bumiputera firms onto the global value chain. It's not about bringing Bumiputera firm onto the local value chain. Ultimately, it's about building an Bumiputera industry that can tap into the global value chain. So to do this, you need to really map out the global supply chain in detail by industry, like whether it's the aerospace industry, whether it's the auto industry, whether it's the food industry, banking industry, or whatever industry it may be, right? Healthcare and the like. Right? And then you can implement this program by onboarding companies, onboarding entrepreneurs, right? And the moment you do this, you will not only have a global and successful Bumi firm, you actually have a global and successful Bumi industry comprising many Bumi firms, right? That is what you want. You do not want to have one Bumi firm. Everyone is excited about one company called, for example, Serba Dynamic. An icon to Bumiputera entrepreneurs, right? When listing, it raised 3 billion market capitalization and things like that. But you only have that one company, right? It's a good company, right? It is an icon, but we want more of that company, right? So we want more such companies within each industry. It's not about having one or two, right? And the most important when we do this program is we need to measure competitiveness of our companies and our industry and its supply chain partners versus international players. You know, we do not compare ourselves with ourselves. We must compare ourselves with international players out there in other countries, right? So that is very, very important. And when we develop these industries, right, it also needs to be developed from the perspective of the broader economy. Right? So in Malaysia, for many, many years, one of the biggest problems that we have is we have always looked at industry development based on a national policy, all right? And to some extent, a little bit state policy. But by right, we must have very clear demarcation between national policy, state policy, or before state policy is regional economic development policy. Then you have state policy, and you have district policy. All right. If you ask today for statistics or information about what is the GDP of Kuala Kubu Baru in Ulu Selangor, no one will be able to answer you that question, right? And the moment you cannot answer that question from a policy perspective, right, then how do you develop industries by town, by district, right, by state? Everyone talks about national GDP growing so much, right? But nobody talks about the GDP of Kuala Kubu Baru is 9% or 6% or 4%. We don't know. What is the GDP of Temerloh? Right? So when we know, then we must have local champions, right? And allow them to be local champions. And they will make lots of money, right? And we need to have regional champion, right? And allow them to be just regional champion. But support them as local champions, support them as regional champion, and then you have national champion. And naturally, when they are very strong at their local, regional or national level, they can go international at any time. Some local champion bigger than a national champion. But we are so hung up when we talk about Bumiputera entrepreneur development, we want to build national champion. So we get excited about that, but we lose touch of what actually is necessary for the development of Bumiputera entrepreneurs.
Okay, all right. Dato, on that, thank you, Dato, for the insightful sharing. So if I could sum up what you have said just now. So in short, the current initiative are not really effective in helping Bumiputera to develop a company because it's lack of support in the whole supply chain because of domination of larger companies. So to combat that, the country should introduce Bumi Industry Development Program to support the whole supply chain to be Bumiputera focused. Then only all these companies would be able to survive. And also we should put greater emphasis on like district levels and not only focusing on national level champions, right? We should put focus on the local and the district champions in order to support more Bumiputera focused SMEs. So thank you for the insightful sharing, Dato. So if we could move to Kak Saliza. So if I could repeat whatever my question just now tadi, if I could just a short recap. So what are the initiatives that can be done to help these Bumiputera develop the critical skills needed to run an SME business?
Okay. As a Bumiputera, as a person, as an individual, as well as a business, owner of a Bumiputera company in Malaysia, I believe that the government has done enough to support the growth of Bumiputera entrepreneurs in Malaysia. The reason why I say that is because I have benefited as a Bumiputera. I do not come from a privileged family. Okay, I come from a small moms and pops, like rank and file government officers, but they decided to venture into business when they retired from the government. So I do not come from a privileged family, but I am truly grateful for the support that the government has made available for the growth of, to support the growth of entrepreneurs, Bumiputera in Malaysia. Let's look at MARA. Let's just look at MARA because all of us are from MRSM. You know, what is the purpose of MARA? It's actually to provide the platform, to provide the knowledge, the skills, all the trainings and the infrastructure to support the growth of entrepreneurs or the Bumiputera businesses in Malaysia. And what is the role of MRSM? To produce more and more quality, highly educated, highly skillful Bumiputera, so that when we graduate from this whole system or the education system, we would be able to be somebody who is competitive, who is have their own worth to compete with whoever, regardless whether we are Bumiputera or not. Okay, so that's why I want to say that I think the government has done enough. Okay, but two things that I think hinder the growth, okay, of more and more Bumiputera entrepreneurs or businesses in Malaysia is two things. One is when it comes to the person himself or herself, the individual, they tend to look at Bumiputera as a privilege, you know. But actually, what we should look at, we should be treating the fact that we are Bumiputera as an opportunity. Yes, it is a privilege. It will open up doors, okay? We can use it as a stepping stone to propel to a higher level, but we cannot continue to be dependent on Bumiputera-led programs. You know, there's no such thing. Once you have decided to become an entrepreneur, whether you are Bumiputera or not Bumiputera, you have to make sure that do you have the right business strategies? Do you have the right business models? Do you have the products and services that is going to be competitive that anyone, not only in Malaysia, but in other parts of the world, would like to acquire that products and services from you? So those are the things that entrepreneurs need to improve on, rather than, you know, having to go back to the government. I need assistance, because I believe the government, going back to 30, 40 years ago when we have the Dasar Ekonomi Baru, and if you look at the recent implementation of the Majlis Kemakmuran Bumiputera in January of 2021, the government have done enough, but they can only do so much. It goes back to our capability as an individual to be a successful Bumiputera in our own right. Okay, so I think with that, there are three skills that is required, yeah, for us to be successful in this venture. So actually there are so many skills that we need, but I think we don't have time. That's going to be a separate session on its own. So I'm going to narrow it down to three. Okay, one is with regards to leadership. Okay, leadership is very important. Most of the time when people want to start a business because they thought they have something good, a good product and services, and they want to make money. So most of the time they put bottom line as the priority or the main purpose of the business, but that will not make you sustainable. So as a leader of a business, you must lead with empathy. You need to know that a part of having a good products and services, you must be able to run a business entity, an organization that is going to support your employees as well the community that you serve. You must have a purpose to exist and not for the sole purpose of profit making. I think that is very important. You must lead with a clear conscience that you have a vision, mission of that business, but you must have a sense of purpose. And in order to do that, you must lead with empathy. Then only you will be able to bring on board and get the buy-in of everyone under you to be loyal and to give their very best to your business organization. Okay, and the second skill I would say is communications. Okay, a lot of people, when they think that they are the CEO or the group MD, okay, they think that they have the right to dictate every single little thing that happens in the business. Okay, it doesn't work like that. You need to be able to communicate, okay, with your employees. And how do you communicate? Is it as simple as issuing a memo? Okay, we want to achieve this KPI by end of the year. No, you should be able to communicate in various different ways in terms of being interpersonal with them, in making sure that they understand why do we have that KPI set for our business growth, so that they will be able to again buy into the whole ideas that you have for the growth of the business. So communication is a skill, and a lot of people they lack that. Okay, they create this barrier between the management and the board with the employees. So for us, we practice open door policy. Even my security guard can even come and see me at the office. You know, they must give me as the boss the respect, and in return, I will give them the equal respect that they truly deserve, regardless of their position in the company. So communications and lead with empathy is very important. And last but not least is the ability to think creatively and innovatively. Okay, again, I think it goes back to what Dato said. We must be able to know how to expand and diversify our business. We cannot be doing one thing and one thing for the rest of our life, then the business is not going to be sustainable. And this is something, the 3 skills that I mentioned are something that have proven to work for our family business to remain sustainable and still thriving after all these 29 years. So those are some of the skills I think that it's important to be highlighted. And one last item for those who, I believe all of us here have know about the Blue Ocean strategy. Okay, so that is something that is very, very close to my heart, something that I learned when I was doing my MBA that I still apply until today. It's a matter of creating a unique selling point. Okay, your niche, creating your niche. But you don't have to be in the red ocean. If everyone is selling tudung, why you want to sell tudung, right? The same product. Come out with a tudung that maybe can also be used as a face mask or as so something else. You need to be innovative to come up with something that is truly different and sexier than the rest of your competitors. Then only then you will be a successful business leader in the business that you run.
Kak Saliza, may I ask a question? This is lari sikit lah daripada script, but going on to what you said just now, you know, about this different culture of leadership, right? You know, having an open door policy and also providing room to your employees and subordinates to think on their own feet. So why do you think exactly that within, you know, among these Bumiputera companies, that this culture is not able to be cultivated?
It's to me, it's not that it's not being cultivated in the organization itself. The main stumbling block is the mindset that most Bumiputera feel that they are privileged. Okay, I am truly grateful for being a Bumiputera in this wonderful country of Malaysia. Okay, but never once have I taken it for trying to leverage on the fact that I'm a Bumiputera, hence I am entitled for this. No. How we started the business in security back then, 30 years ago, it was an industry that is only open to Bumiputera, meaning to say that only Bumiputera can secure contracts, with the government and all that. And it's a very highly regulated industry that only a high rank, government officers or former ex-police or ex-army can own the license. And how we came out in acquiring the business was back around 30 years ago. There was a management buyout, so we bought over the company and we were able to form a team. So basically that's the processes. Okay, so meaning to say that Bumiputera is able, to cultivate that culture. It's just that when we start a business, if we have the mindset that we are privileged and we are entitled, that is where it's going to spoil everything, because you won't be able to push yourself and to make yourself feel that whatever projects that you get is based on your own merit. Okay, but at the end of the day, you got that project because you are Bumi. It's because you are, related to a government link, and only Bumiputera company can get the government link company's project. A lot of businesses are operating in that manner. But I'm very happy to say that although we are just a medium-sized company, but more than 80% of our customers come from the private sector, the non-government sectors. We're talking about multinational companies, we're talking about GLC companies. Those are some of our clients. So meaning to say that we have a product, yes, we benefited from the fact that we are Bumiputera, hence we're able to start a business in this industry. But after that, you really have to inject so many innovation into the business and show the world your true worth and what you will be able to bring on the table to make yourself competitive and different than the rest of the competitors out there. So again, it goes back to the mindset. I believe Iman is not boleh or tak boleh, boleh sahaja. But if the mindset is already there, oh, I'm entitled, I'm privileged, then that is where the problem akan mula berlaku lah. Okay, it becomes a stumbling block for you to really, search or really, take it to the next level, so to speak, when it comes to your business career path.
Thank you, Kak Saliza. It's because why I posed this question of this different culture of we have a term in business, we call it participative leadership instead of the autonomous or the autocratic leadership, right? So times have changed, and definitely representation is very important because we have people within our customers itself that not only come from, a certain gender or certain race or a certain age, right? So definitely, this is definitely why I posed this question. It's because when I enter some companies, it's hard to see that culture existing, and definitely, to create that certain culture, it's also not an easy thing. So thank you for introducing to us that great start, that, just having that mindset that we're not entitled to anything. We just have to do our best. And so I'll pass the moderating back to Fazlan.
All right, thank you, Kak Saliza. Thank you, Iman, for the question. So if I could summarize this second round, so based on the points that Kak Saliza has said, so the three important skills that leaders should have. One is leadership, to lead with empathy and to lead with a sense of purpose. It goes back to supporting your employees and supporting your communities, right? And then the second is important communication with your employees. So macam Kak Saliza, she introduced the open door policy in her company to be able to to make sure that everyone's voices are heard of. Right? And then the third is the creative and innovative thinking, and this has proven to work in BG Capital, and I hope this could inspire other people to apply this in their businesses as well. So thank you for our two moderators in the second round. So if we could move to our third round, which is it's a very general topic. Like this is we wanted to focus on the economic well-being of Bumiputera in Malaysia. So I think in the last two rounds we have spent focusing on SMEs specifically, but I think for this round we want to circle back to our topic of Bumiputera and economy in general. So I'll pose this question to both of our speakers, Dato Badlisyah and Ms. Saliza. Siapa nak cakap dulu, dipersilakan. But then the questions is in general, what can we do to improve the economic well-being of Bumiputera in Malaysia? And then the second, what can be done to bridge the economic gap between rural versus those that are living in urban areas?
So Saliza, you want to do it first or you want to?
Dato dulu, dipersilakan. Kena bagi senior, nanti kena denda. Saya hormat senior.
Alright, thank you. First of all, before I answer the question, I must congratulate you, Saliza. You have done well in your area of business. I think MRSM Typing should effectively create another one, business icon. So Saliza can be immediately on the board.
Oh wow. pressure too. Thank you, Dato.
You're welcome. So going back to the question, I think when it comes to looking at sustainable development of Bumiputera within the economy, I believe that there is a need for the country to go back to basic. We have had great policies and we have had great legislation established in the country for the purpose of Bumiputera development and so that we can bridge the gap between the Bumiputera and the non-Bumiputera within the economy. And this policy and law put in place for many years. Right. Is my line bad again?
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I believe it's time for us to regroup and go back to basic and relook at the MARA Act, relook at the Tabung Haji Act, relook at the Felda Act, and PNB and the likes, and really review whether we have achieved what we needed to achieve, right? From the policy and laws that we have put in place. On a cursory glance, when I look at things, so for example, PNB, right? PNB was established to facilitate investment by Bumiputera in the market, right? And it's very clear cut. It is for Bumiputera. It is owned by Yayasan Pelaburan Bumiputera, right, which is chaired by the Prime Minister, right? But over the years, all of a sudden, I'm not saying it's wrong or bad, but I just want us to do a review. We question, right? If the focus was Bumiputera, was for why that we have fund meant for non-Bumiputera under PNB today, right? But did we lose focus, right? Under that program, right? Did we lose focus by adding new products that are not relevant or not related to the agenda of Bumiputera development, right? Then you look at say today Felda is known only as a plantation company. All right, it is the largest landowner in the country. It has 2 million hectares of land. It's bigger than Perlis, right? And at the end of the day, if we do a review, was Felda supposed to be doing just plantation, right? Felda, if you look at the act, is supposed to build industries, build new. That mandate the act, right? So if we look at the actual mandate and the actual delivery, did we have the deliverable, right? For the Bumiputera development agenda. And of course, just to also be fair, Felda is not meant only for Bumiputera, right? Felda can cover for everyone, but of course, it's to develop the demography of the country, right? So therefore, the majority would benefit the Bumiputera, right? But looking at the deliverable of Felda today, it may not necessarily match with what is stated in the act, right? Of course, I'm not qualified to say yes or no. But I believe we should do a review, right? And to see the KPI. And then go back to say to MARA. MARA is very close to my heart, right? Which is close to all of us, right? Kita ni anak MARA, right? And if we look at the act, kita baca betul-betul, MARA is not about education sahaja, right? MARA actually, the main mandate is to develop industry and business. If you look at section 6 of the, sorry.
I think
if you look at,
okay, second, yeah. We are losing you a little bit just now.
So if you look, okay. So if you look at section 6 of the MARA Act, I think the first 4 or 5 items under the responsibility or empowerment of MARA is to develop industries and businesses. only I think on the 6th item in that particular section, it talks about training and education. All right, but all of a sudden today, MARA to us, to many of us, we only know MARA as the premium education institution, right? Provider, generating 30% of the Malaysian talent in the country and things like that, right? And MARA has done a very, very good job in that area. But if we really do a review of their actual mandate versus to what they have delivered, right? Especially on industry and business development, I think we will find a very surprising result. All right. I think the budget for education is so huge, but the budget for industry development and entrepreneur development is so small. All right. So at the end of the day, I believe we need to go back to basic and really relook at our infrastructure and our resources within the institutions that we have, whether we have the right framework, whether we have the right talent to deliver what needs to be delivered under the Bumiputera program. Right? That's my comment for this session.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Dato. Kak Saliza, if you would like to add up from that.
Yeah, thanks. I think my response will be with regards to how we want to basically close the gap, between the Bumiputera in the rural areas as well as in the urban areas. So my response to that, again, is going to be very basic, something that I hope like the policy makers who are watching this and listening to our conversation tonight will be able to at least take some of the input shared by Dato and myself, maybe can change some of the policy. Okay, but if you're talking about, bridging the gap, okay, I think let's just look at the simple concept of KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitude. Okay, if you're talking about knowledge, obviously those who live in the rural areas, they are lacking in terms of access to getting quality education, for the reason that we don't yet have a very a perfect infrastructure when it comes to even internet connection, so to speak. So because of that, they are left behind in terms of getting quality education. So if we can actually look into that, okay, make sure that we have the government puts proper infrastructure, and provide custom or tailor-made support or training for these rural Bumiputeras, I think it will be able to at least level the knowledge, okay, of the Bumiputera from both the rural and the urban areas. And the second one is skills, okay. I would like to go back to something that, I don't know whether we still have that. Yeah, Dato, maybe Dato can comment later, but I'm referring to this satu daerah, satu industry policy that we once had. I don't know, it's not very popular right now, but I think that is something that need to be looked at. Okay, for example, let's take Cikgu Aisyah, Taiping. Let's look at Taiping, for example. Okay, Taiping is very popular with the kerepek. Okay, but if we can actually come up with a structure whereby let's bring together all this B40 or the badly affected M40, within Taiping area, so that they will be able to be given the skill required to produce, for example, kerepek. I'm just using that as an example, okay? But maybe they lack the knowledge in terms of how they want to digitalize the processes in terms of selling it on e-commerce, or maybe lack knowledge in terms of skill to export their product. So that is where the subject matter expert, maybe the more technology related Bumiputera entrepreneurs within the urban area would be able to provide them with the kind of support. So meaning to say, at the moment what we see, even the Datin Siri also is producing a competitive product that I'm so sorry to say, but the usahawan kecil is also producing, you know, because they have the brand and all that. But if we can synergize the effort and really tap at the skills that all these people have, then there will be a balance in terms of the skills and the output that both these entrepreneurs would be able to produce. And the last thing will be attitude. I think attitude I have technically touched in the earlier response, which is, again, let's look at the status of us being a Bumiputera as a privilege that all of us are very grateful for, but never take it as something like something that we are entitled, and we will always continue to be relying on the support given by the government. Again, I would like to stress that there is no limit to what Bumiputera entrepreneurs in Malaysia can achieve. If there is a doubt in your mind, it's because it is only in your mind. You have been brainwashed to say that Bumiputera will always be dependent. But based on experience, okay, I would like to say that, you know, Bumiputera can be competitive. We can have more serba dynamic, you know, in Malaysia. And Dato, serba dynamic, Dato is actually my neighbor in Cyberjaya. So those are the companies that actually have become, so lepas ni nak kena message dia dalam kita punya group, Dato mention company dia dalam kita punya interview, punya conversation. So yeah, so to me, there's no limit to what Bumiputera entrepreneurs can do and can achieve. We can be very, very competitive, not only in the local scene as well as the international scene. So we have to change that mindset. We are not dependent. We are worthy of whatever it is that we will be able to achieve in the future. So again, KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitude, if we can relook at all that, I hope we will be able to bridge the gap between the entrepreneurs within the rural and the urban areas.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Kak Saliza. Thank you to both speakers for the insightful sharing on this third round. If I could summarize, so what Dato has said is that we have to review all relevant policies and acts and see if they have achieved their objective lah, ataupun and whether they have deviated from their original mandate. So from this Bumiputera focus companies like PNB or even the Malaysia-based macam Felda ke apa ke semua, and relook at all this in order to make sure whether or not they have achieved the intended objective that it was originated lah. And then from Kak Saliza, the three main points, KSA, now I learned something new today. So knowledge, skills, and attitude. So we need to relook at all on these three in order to bridge the economic gap lah between those yang live in rural and those yang living in urban areas. So thank you for that. I am mindful of the time, but we have, I could see one question at least. If we could extend the session like for maybe 10 minutes just to address this question, if that's okay for both panel. Before
okay.
that.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, I think we can start with Tengku Faiz raise his hand. So Abang Tengku Faiz, silakan kalau nak tanya soalan.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, sorry
Salam.
Apa tu, hi, Kak Liza and Dato. Apa tu, I just have just an idea lah, kan. So basically apa tu, okay, kita banyak program yang national punya program, macam startup semua sekali kan, untuk national punya programs. So why not? Because I duk tengok dalam group typing tu, kita ada banyak juga businesses, kan, businesses tu. So why not macam ni? Kalau kita buat satu macam kita ni seolah-olah macam startup ataupun banking ataupun capital punya yang bagi capital. Because I believe dalam group typing ni ada yang entrepreneur wannabe ataupun kita just basically kita nampak kita buat macam startup. Okay, kita interview within the typing itself, siapa yang kita nampak macam dia ni capable of doing the business ataupun ada economics, then kita put the capital injection tapi within the typing only. Because I duk tengok benda ni, because I ada buat untuk semua I punya so-called groups lah kan. Kan? So maksudnya, because I believe kalau kita kumpul dalam businesses, dalam group typing ni, probably lah I believe 500,000 as a capital, kan. I think kita akan keluar. Kan? So siapa-siapa yang dalam grup yang kita punya ni yang willing to do this, kita buat order startup interview. Kalau okay, then kita proceed. What say you? Because satu lagi itu one point. Number two is I was thinking also because I ni diberi mandat untuk jaga biro ekonomi. Tu I akan tanya soalan-soalan macam ni. So lepas tu satu lagi I was thinking because dalam grup kita tu banyak juga yang businesses, all the entrepreneurs. I think we need to have satu kita panggil leader lah. Leader, advisor and at least maksudnya kita nak kena ada an organisation to lead all the business people, especially typing. Kan macam tu. Okay, that's all lah. From me. Okay, thank you.
Can I respond? Thank you so much for the suggestion. Let me just share. Many community within Malaysia and the same applies in many other countries, right? The community have a framework where if someone within that community wants to start a business, the community can easily call 10 people that are already doing business in that area or in that particular community. Say katalah somebody wants to come and do a sundry shop lah, kedai runcit, right? So the community will identify, okay, there's no kedai runcit in this area, or there is a kedai runcit in this area, but there is no kedai runcit in another township, just 2 kilometers down the road or something like that, right? So if there is, then the community will say, no, you cannot do the kedai runcit here. You should do kedai runcit in the next township, and we will fund you. We will call 10 people, all right, to start this business. Requires 100,000. All right, each of you, 10 people, give 10,000. All right, give 10,000, zero interest, no share. All right, just funding, right, for that person to start the business. All right. So they take, and then you must once you have your income and positive cash flow, pay them back within a certain period, right? And as a result of it, the person can start the business, have no pressure in paying back the loan, right? An interest-free loan, and once he is stabilized, he pays back. The 10 parties get back their money, then the same thing will start be pulled again for another person, and the community will be responsible to determine what business should be done where. All right, and the moment you do that, then it creates a natural network for that community, and that network grows across the region, grows across the country. And it becomes bigger and bigger. And from there, you can do more. Instead of 10,000 each, all of a sudden, you have capacity to do 1 million each, right? So we can do the same thing within the TEPEN network, right? And it has to be this way because this is what successful community has done to be more successful than our community, all right? The other one in terms of association or whatever, I think the alumni itself is already very it's a good platform. It's just that we have not maximized. We can, notwithstanding aside than the alumni, we can, I don't know, we can have a TEPEN Chamber of Commerce, right? Register somewhere, right? And be an offshoot of the alumni. That's my 2 cents worth on the suggestion.
Wonderful, Dato. And just to add on to that, I think this is something that I have earlier discussed with Cikgu Aisyah and the team. I think all of us know that there is this Young Entrepreneur Program at MRSM. Okay, and this is something that I participated back in 1994, and I believe that has in a way helped to provide me with an early exposure to doing business right, okay? Because I think values and having integrity in doing the business is very, very important. It's not just about having a good business idea, something that you can sell, but it all boils down to the values and how you actually approach in terms of creating a business that is sustainable. So Tengku Faiz, I think Dato pun dah akan ada digital bank. So I think we can start to open a list, okay? Start to crowdfund, Dato, and then I think it's a wonderful idea. Let's tap at our resources. Everyone is very entrepreneurial, whether or not you do have a business at the moment, but this is something that we can actually hone and improve on. And definitely, yeah, there is an opportunity. We'll surely support.
Okay, all right. Thank you for both speakers. I hope they answered the question, Abang Tengku Faiz.
Yes. I think it's realistic. I think it's realistic anyway. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everyone. So if I could move on to the second question. This is from Facebook, asked by Dennis Sahak. So hi there, my question would be on the ada government policy yang dapat membantu the middle level meter stand companies. So this is back to looking back at the first round punya soalan, masa kita cover pasal meter stand, right? So ada government policy yang membantu this middle level companies, this meter stand, and ada apakah perubahan evolusi of policy throughout the years?
From a policy perspective, when it comes to meter stand in Malaysia, we do not have it. Not anything that I know of, right? I could be wrong. Somebody might point out, oh, we have this or we have that. But even if we have something, I do not believe it is the same policy that Germany has for meter stand, right? So what we need to have is the same policy, right? And of course somebody has to go and translate it from German. When it comes to policy development or evolution, I think in Malaysia we have had great policies, successful policies that has been emulated by many other countries, right? But we cannot continue to be proud of old policies that were successful. We have to continue to reinvent ourselves with new policies that will keep us at the leading edge and continue to be seen as an example to be followed. And I think the other matter when it comes to policy is sometimes we have such great policy that we don't follow, and we don't implement to the fullest, and therefore the delivery that we have, despite the fact that we have great policies, our delivery is weaker than the other country that followed our policy, right? I give you an example. At one time, South Korea was from a development perspective behind us, right? And their government came to Malaysia to learn about our policy, and they actually copied our policy, including our gotong royong culture. Right, and they acknowledge it, and they tell the whole world, and every time they meet with us, they will tell us that, right? They adopted our gotong royong culture because they don't have the gotong royong culture in Korea, right? And they put that gotong royong culture as a national policy, right? And the moment they did that, within a few years, they overtook Malaysia. Right, so at the end of the day, having great policies and having continuous improvement to policies, it does not really matter if we do not implement it in the manner that it should be implemented, and or in the manner that other countries have implemented our policy. Right, so that is very, very important.
Okay, I agree. So I think having a good policy is one thing. The execution of that or the implementation of that policy is another thing that we need to focus on as well. And from what we are saying, I think that's something that we can still improve on for Malaysia in order to become like for your example macam South Korea tadi tu lah. Okay, thank you so much, Dato. I think we don't have any other questions. So I think we can I can invite Dato Badlisyah to say any final concluding remarks on this session, on this topic.
Well, thank you very much. To me, when it comes to Bumiputera and economy, I know Saliza talk about privilege, and she advised everyone to ignore that privilege and just do the business and you have the ability to succeed despite not using the privilege. Right? I would reiterate that. I would echo that. But I would add that everybody in this world are born with privilege. All right, whether you are born in a poor family or a rich family or whatever, you are born with privilege because you are somebody's child. All right, and you akan dimanjakan, you will be coddled, you will be fed, you will be given everything by your parents, right? But at the end of the day, despite those privileges, it will not guarantee your success, all right? Because when your parent is no longer there, you have to do everything yourself, right? You can go out there in the world with your parents' money, but if you do not have the skill sets, you do not have tenacity or whatever, you may not be able to keep that money and grow that money, more importantly, right? So at the end of the day, privilege is overrated, right? We all have it. And therefore, it should not be used as an advantage or as a crutch, right? And to me, as a Bumiputera, the whole world is our playground, right? And notwithstanding that the whole world is our playground, we must start small, right? A lot of us get so excited, they can do this, they can do that, and they can do everything, right? They can conquer the world, and they start big. And when they start big, it's very easy to lose your, right? When you start small, you can see where you're going, and you can add what needs to be added, and then you grow slowly and become bigger and bigger. And I think that is what the Bumiputera community needs to do, individually as well as a group, right? And I believe if we stick to that, we can be very successful in the economy.
Okay, thank you, Dato Badlisyah. I agree with that statement. Okay, if I could invite Kak Saliza to say her concluding remarks, please silakan.
I have one very short story to share with everyone. Tok Pa is one of the ministers that I truly respect, and Dato Badlisyah from Promuda, I think you will have engaged a lot of programs with Tok Pa when he was the ministers at the entrepreneur development, I think in 95, 98, okay? So I just want to share with you something that Tok Pa did back then when he was the minister of the entrepreneur development, okay? Around in the 90s, I think there are quite a number of Bumiputera-based organizations, especially those which are supporting entrepreneurs. So I remember after returning from the US, okay, I needed to look for a support system, okay, to help me to learn and bring about, you know, and learn as much as best practices, you know, learn from other successful people. So in 2001, I think that until now also there is this Women Entrepreneur Association for Bumiputera called Peniagawati. Okay, but back then it was during one event that Tokpa attended that he mooted the idea that there is a need to have a multiracial women entrepreneur association in Malaysia. So meaning to say, back then he already realized that we have to come out from our comfort zone, okay, and learn as much as possible, network as much as possible with people who are not like us, okay. So when I returned to Malaysia, NAWEM was already established. So I joined NAWEM since 2001. Until today, it remains as one of the largest multiracial women entrepreneur association. It comprises of micro entrepreneurs, SME, as well as big owners of big corporations like Sunway, you know, and other more successful large corporations like Mary Brown and all that. And I am now, it's coming to my 20th year with the association, and I am currently serving as the deputy president of the association. So I'm trying to say is that in order for us to become a successful entrepreneur, we really need to learn to come out from our comfort zone. Of course, back then it would be less challenging if I, you know, just stay with like-minded people, maybe with, you know, fellow Bumiputera or MRSM ex-students who are already doing business. But I decided to challenge myself and let's join an association that is multiracial. And it has proven to be useful and something that I'm very grateful, because I managed to learn the culture, okay, the way other people are doing business. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I use that as informal training ground and bring on into my company best practices. Okay, so meaning to say I can run a business that would remain competitive regardless of the so-called nature as far as the MOF status is concerned. So yeah, I think it's very important for us to be successful in whatever area that we do. Really need to push ourselves, make sure that we get out of our comfort zone. Try to be in the blue ocean. Okay, create your own blue ocean. You don't want to compete with anyone else in the red ocean. Create your own blue ocean, and your business and your career path in entrepreneurship will, I guarantee you, will be successful and something that you are going to enjoy for the long run. So that's my final words for everyone who is listening.
Okay, thank you Kak Saliza. So you've been mentioning about Blue Ocean punya strategy. I recall back to my time during doing my degree lah. Memang this is a very successful, very powerful punya strategy that had been taught across the world. So yeah, thank you for that. I think with that we could end this session today. I would pass back to Iman lah. Thank you, Iman.
All right. Okay. So of course, you know, just to make sure we keep this in memory, I'd like to invite everyone to turn on their cameras so we can take a photo. So shall we?
Okay, sure.
Ada Cikgu Aisyah bakal tauke kerepek. Tadi siapa Cikgu Aisyah cakap cikgu jadi bakal tauke kerepek typing? Crowdfunding, the first business kita buat, produce kerepek typing, go for export market.
Alright.
Kalender ni dah bagi akses?
Dah. Semua orang boleh buka video. Siapa nak join dipersilakan. Bagi lagi seminit.
Hafizi tu dia kena buka kamera dia, Hafizi.
Okay, tak apa. Kita ambil mana yang ada dulu. Okay, senyum semua. 1, 2, 3. Okey, kejap. Sekali lagi. Kejap. Okey, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so I will go on to the penutup. Sekalung perhargaan dan jutaan terima kasih kepada ahli panel kita, Dato Badlisyah Abdul Ghani, and also Puan Saliza Abdullah, which I've been calling Kak. Thank you so much. And of course, the penghargaan Gerakan Strategik ANSARA Typing. Without them, we wouldn't be able to have this platform to share knowledge with everyone. And of course, without these other corporations such as TNF Energy, Amans Media, Outpost Typing, ALKA Systems, and also BG Capital Holdings group of companies, without the ideas coming from MRSM Typing itself, and also the ANSARA, we wouldn't be able to come up with these talks. So, kepada anda yang terlepas atau ingin menonton semula sesi perkongsian ini, bolehlah berbuat demikian di Facebook ANSARA Cawangan Typing ataupun YouTube ANSARA TEPEN. Dan jangan lupa untuk subscribe, like dan follow kami juga di Instagram dan Twitter iaitu @ANSARA Typing. Dan kepada alumni MRSM Typing, sekali lagi saya ingatkan yang masih belum mendaftar sebagai ahli ANSARA Typing, bolehlah berbuat demikian menerusi portal ANSARA www.myansara.org. Hanya perlu bayar RM50 sahaja. Sebenarnya benefits dia banyak actually. Tapi anda tidak dapat tahu jika anda tidak sertai. Alright, so sebelum kita bersurai, kita tutup sesi ini dengan tasbih kifarah dan suratul as. Alright, so sekian dari kami, Iman dan Fazlan. Jangan lupa Siri kita yang seterusnya pada minggu hadapan hari Jumaat, waktu yang sama tetapi topik yang berbeza. Ingat, patuhi SOP.
Thank you semua.